Have you ever made a mistake and wish you could simply rewind the clock and undo what you did? I'm sure you have at some point. It's an interesting concept to think about, especially when translating this kind of magical undo button to games. In this case, with IPS2, the ability to undo could give you a major advantage by allowing you to avoid cameras punishing you for your mistakes, or to scout out risky plays to see if it's worth it to pull off. So, why don't we just play the character that allows us to do almost literally just that? Today we're talking about Quartz. Okay, so, Quartz, an epic thief added a little over 2 years ago alongside Filmer, Headline, and Payday. Currently, as of this video's creation, Quartz's base stats are slightly different from the default thieves, having a health of 3 instead of 4, and having a walk speed of 18 instead of 16. The main appeal of Quartz here is her active ability, time travel. Once you press E, no matter what you do, in 8 seconds, you'll be teleported directly back to wherever you activated the ability. You could be stealing an item, reviving a thief, depositing, it doesn't matter. Once that timer hits 0, you get teleported back to that spot and immediately cancel whatever you're doing, with a few exceptions, namely with stealing and depositing, as if you're far long enough, you'll just get warped back and finish the action anyway. You also have a 10-second cooldown on the ability too, that starts ticking down as soon as you press E. Lastly, it's important to note that there is both a visual indicator for and a sound effect that plays when you teleport back to the spot you activated the ability. This does mean that cameras that know their stuff can basically wait for you to go back to where you were, then beam you down when you show up, so just keep it in mind. So, how do you play Quartz? Well, I like to see her as a hybrid between both a support thief and a roaming thief. Quartz can play a support with time travel, using it to potentially go for risky revives or item grabs by timing the teleport well so that you warp out of danger at the last moment, allowing her to support in similar methods as thieves like Raven and Eat by stealthily reviving allies and escaping. On the other hand, Quartz can also be a roamer thief, and her small walk speed boost and time travel allow her to do this by allowing her to head to hard to reach locations, fill up her tag, and warp to either safety or a deposit location, allowing them to stay mobile the whole game, in a similar vein to thieves like Scarecrow, All Duck, and All Cow. Despite this though, Quartz is also a jack of all trades, master of none with these roles. She can play support and roamer, but not as well as characters designed for these roles. That's not inherently a bad thing though. Why? One word: versatility. Being a mix of both roles allows you to adapt on the fly, being able to change strategies dependent on the game state. Got some downed allies? Go support them. Otherwise, go roam the map for loot. Now it's time to cover dangerous cameras, and I've only got 3 that I consider being a threat. Trapper is the first one that comes to mind, with the big threat here being the stun from the bear trap. If you step on it, you take 1 damage, and you're stunned if your health isn't at 1. Also, alongside making a noticeable sound cue. Trappers can take a major advantage of your time travel cues as to where you'll teleport by leaving a trap to keep you in place before beaming you down. If you do spot a trapper, the best way to adapt to it is to either A, shake up your teleport location and not teleport to the same spot every time to prevent them from easily stacking a bear trap, or B, hiding your teleport in hard to see locations so they don't necessarily know where you are and have to place their trap in a general area, allowing you to essentially just hop over it. Second up, we have Shockwire. It's a pretty rare camera to see, as it was only available during the 2024 Christmas event, but it does handle time travel pretty well. Its wires can cover a large area and essentially trap you within your warp position. Your best bet here, if you see it going for that, is to just try to squeeze out of it while only taking 1 or 2 hits. There really isn't anything else to say outside of just be attentive to where the Shockwire tends to look, as Shockwire is a very defensive camera and it tends to guard only a select few rooms so it can keep its wires up for longer. Lastly, we have Death Ray. This camera's on here for one simple reason: it can one-shot you. A fully charged laser beam does 3 damage, which, if you remember, is all of your HP. On top of that, if the camera was tracking you, they could preemptively charge their laser to time it with your warp and catch you off guard. Despite this, most Death Rays I've seen tend to just use the ability as an extra 5th shot that pierces walls, so you won't run into this kind of player too much. And that pretty much does it with everything I wanted to cover today with Quartz. She is a pretty interesting thief in comparison to some of the more complex thieves in higher rarities like Scrooge or Poppy, for example. But if anything, that goes to show how strong of a thief she generally is. There is no other ability like time travel unless you consider something like Dawnstar's Burrow as sort of a competitor, but I really don't. Those two abilities are pretty much functionally different. Quartz is just a snap back to location A after 8 seconds, while Dawnstar basically just creates a two-way portal. But that's not the point of this. Outside of everything I mentioned, there isn't really much else that needs to be covered with Quartz outside of just general gameplay knowledge of being a good thief in IPS in general. So, yeah, thank you for watching this. Alright, little bit of a ramble here in the outro as, stuff goes by. Anyway, so this episode was originally meant to come out all the way back in, I want to say July? It was meant to be a month after the Ace episode, but during that time over summer, I ended up having to, work a lot because I had to pay off college tuition, yippee, and so I didn't really get much of a chance to work on the Quartz episode. In fact, this next episode wasn't even going to be Quartz. Originally, my plan was just to do all of the legendaries in one big batch, and first I was going to do Chase, but then they announced QSII, and then Chase got a small rework in QSII, so I was like, okay, I'm going to do Scrooge, and then I had to spend all of summer working, so now I'm here doing Quartz. I'm not entirely upset about it though, because this series, if anything, allows me to explore thieves I tend not to play much and actually kind of see how valuable they can be in the right scenario. But that's really all I have to say here, other than my goal is now to release one of these a Thief's Guide episodes every month, with it always being a different rarity each time. I think the order I want to do is Legendary, Epic, Rare, Uncommon, Outlawed, in that kind of order, and eventually I want to filter the cameras in there, but since there's way less cameras than there are thieves, I figured, you know what, might as well just do a bunch of the thieves first. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.